Welcome to the Metal Bob Live Podcast. I am your host, Metal Bob. Today's show is brought to you by Legend Picks and also artist Jeremiah Kalleck. Links to these sponsors will be listed at the end of each episode. On today's show, episode 4, I had the honor of talking to guitarist Steve Blaze of Lillian Axe. We chat about the band, their involvement in an episode of the TV show Constantine. We also talk new music and guitars. So sit back, have a listen, and enjoy the show. Thank you.
Hello?
Mr. Steve Blaze, Metal Bob here. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to give us a little conversation here at the Metal Bob Live Podcast.
No problem, man. I'm sorry I had to move the time around. It's just, things seem to pop up every 5 minutes. So it made it a little easier, so good, man. Tell me about the show, man. Tell me a little bit more about the show.
Well, the show, actually, I just started the show about 3 weeks ago. I've got some great guests lined up. I've had Rob Reed on from Babylon AD.
Right.
I've had Johnny Crash's ex-singer, Vic Wright. I don't know if you know Vic.
Uh-huh.
And I've got Greg Chasen lined up for tomorrow, and I've got a few other guests coming up, so it's going to be a great time, man.
Excellent.
We just like
that sounds good, man. Well, so you record it and then play it, so you'll be taping everything down, correct?
Absolutely, brother.
All right. You got it, man. Well, I'm here. Hang on one second. Okay, that's fine. All right. Ready when you are.
Well, I guess my first question is, I know there's a lot going on in the Lillian Axe camp, so I was kind of hoping you could tell us what's going on right now.
Sure. I think the most, current news would be that we are, changing our relationship, so to speak, not really parting ways with Brian Jones, our singer for the last 10 years. We are going to be, we have a new singer. His name is Brent Graham, and Brent is an amazing singer, talent, great human being that I've been knowing for a long time. He actually sat in for Brian when we were on the 10th episode of Constantine back in 2015, when Brian was unable to make the filming. It was for a TV show on NBC. And so Brent actually stood in for Brian, and Brent was the singer, and Michael and my side band, Sledgehammer, he was the first singer for a couple of years. So we've been involved with Brent for a while, and he's great. And we just, decided, that it was time to make a change. Brian is still actually booking the band, and Brian is going to be working on his solo project, and he has a solo album and a book coming out, and he's going to be working on another new project on his own. So we amicably parted ways. We felt like it was best for us to both take different routes, and that's it. We're rehearsing with Brent now, and our first show is going to be June 13th in Gonzales, Louisiana, for the Rock the Bayou Festival, which will be Lillian Axe, along with Night Ranger, Winger, I think Robert Sweet, and Firehouse, and Chase Tyler Band. So, big festival. We played it last year. We're playing it again. It'll be Brent's first show. So that's pretty much what's going on right now, working on the new record and, keeping ourselves constantly busy and trying to consistently reinvent ourselves. So right now the emphasis is on getting Brent worked in and getting the new album finished.
Yeah, and that's perfect that you said that. Brings me to my next question. How is the new album coming?
It's slowly but very solidly. And I think slowly because, we kind of knew this change was going to come, so there was no sense in going in and doing vocals. We do have 3 songs, all the music completely done, and 1 song completely done with vocals. But it's an intro type thing, and I did all the vocals, all the harmonies. It's a big kind of a choral thing, an intro to the album, and I did all the vocals, so that'll stay there. And we really haven't done much vocal-wise, so Brent will be coming in fresh and, starting to do all the tracks. So the songs are pretty much laid out in order, but we've been waiting to get Brent worked in before we go back in the studio to continue on. So now that that's happening now, we'll start to see some quicker movement on recording the rest of the record.
Awesome. To take me back to the Constantine episode, I think I read up a little bit on that. That was a hell of a experience for you guys. A lot of fire and a lot of different takes on that whole deal. Can you kind of give us a little story on that?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because when we got asked to do that, it was like a recreation of a situation similar to the tragedy with Great White, and so I was like, I didn't know if it was going to be in bad taste or whatnot, and it wasn't, really. It's just a situation that's happened in many situations. I mean, if you look back, many occurrences have happened across the planet with clubs or places with very crowded areas with not proper fire escapes, et cetera, where the club catches on fire and a lot of people pass away inside. This episode was a similar situation. Lillian Axe is playing in a club, packed full of people, and all of a sudden our pyrotechnics catch the club on fire. And the ironic part is, in the script, and these people I'm sure they didn't know we had a song called 47 Ways to Die, but in the script, 47 casualties occurred. So
wow.
But we were there in Atlanta for 2 days, and it was cool because the first night, Constantine was a big budget show, and it was amazing to see. I like watching movies and TV being filmed because you see what the magnitude of the production. I mean, they had city blocks squared off, and it seems kind of overkill to me because, there's like this huge area set up for trailers for people to come and sit around and wait. And then there's money spent on this whole area for wardrobe that's like, 100 yards long with nothing but clothes and everything. And then it's just like this overkill of space and production and money being spent to film a couple of scenes,
Right.
So in this case, we were in the club and they were lighting pyro behind us. We started playing a song of ours called Babylon off our last record. And right when the pyro goes off, it catches on flame, right? So we had to repeat the scene over and over again for different camera angles and stuff. But every single time, stuff was going off on fire. So there were like fire marshals there with extinguishers and stunt coordinators, et cetera. And it was a big, big, big production. And so the first night we must have, 20 or 30 takes of the same thing over and over again. The tricky part was I had rotator cuff surgery on my right arm 2 days prior to that. So my right arm was in a sling, and I had to take it out of the sling to film, and they Velcroed the top of my arm to my jacket so that, my arm wouldn't swing off because I had to jump off the stage, and I still had stitches and everything and still healing from the surgery. So it was kind of delicate. So we did all that for hours and hours the first night. The next night, we went to another area in Atlanta. It was a huge sound stage, and it was just us, and they recreated the stage so that they could do the scene where Sam's character, who was played by a stunt double, catches on fire, and to watch how they filmed someone catching on fire and how meticulous and the precise it was with stunt coordinators, and the guys who played Sam is wrapped up and underneath his stage clothes he's got this mummy wrapping under him. They're going through it like every second is brutally important, and they're like, this guy can only be on fire for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then they got to put him out, and they got to make sure they film it. And they do it several times. So the whole thing for that short scene was amazing how much was involved in it. And so that was it. We shot for 2 days and had a great time. And Brian was unable to do it, so Brent, our new singer, actually filled in for him. And you see him one second. Hang on one second. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So and then that was it. The rest of it was waiting for them to finish shooting and send us the episode to look at. It was very cool. But it was, the thing that freaked me out was how much work and effort went into, a scene that lasts a couple of minutes long.
Right. So I know you guys are working on a new record. Is there a album title yet or a release date?
The album is entitled From Womb to Tomb, and it is loosely autobiographical. It's more like taking the journey of life from the very beginning, from the conception in the womb until ascension into heaven. And it starts off with an actual drum beat of the unborn baby, the fetus in the womb, which sounds completely different than a normal heartbeat does. So then the first song is called Breathe, and it's about the actual birth of the baby as it comes through the birth canal into the world. And so it's each song, it's in a chronological linear order. So the first song is about the birth, and then through the eyes, if an infant could actually form thoughts at an age of like 0 to 3 or 4 years old, and what life is, and everything is just amazing and beautiful, and you haven't been corrupted yet. And then the next song is called I Am Beyond, and that's about the first few years of life. The next song is called Never Ending Me, where you start to notice the things around you and relationships and whatnot. And it'll go into everything from realization of death and being a teenager and what the fears. It's not about specific incidents in my life, but it's more or less about the major lessons I learned during the course of certain years of my life. And obviously it ends with ascension into heaven, which I haven't witnessed yet, or death. But, I haven't passed yet, so I'm kind of approaching that as, what I think it would be like to ascend into heaven. So it's just all about lessons and things learned in life. It's very epic and grand. There's a lot of keyboards, a lot of big guitars, lots of vocals, big drums. It's going to be along the lines, I have so many people over the course of our career, the songs that have come to the forefront that people have felt were the quintessential Lillian Axe songs are songs like Ghost of Winter, The World Stopped Turning, Death Comes Tomorrow, Deep Freeze, the big epic songs. I think that's, what this band really, I guess the overall theme and style of our music has gone. It's changed over the years, but it's evolved into this grandiose, epic, heavy sound. And I think that this album is going to encompass all of those type of elements. I think it's going to be different and unique. And having Brent on vocals, really excited about it because he's already come in there and sang on half of one song when I wanted to kind of get an idea when we were thinking about taking Brent as our singer. I wanted him to come in the studio with me and let me hear how you sing some of this new stuff. And he came in there and just belted it, knocked it out of the park. And so I'm really excited to work with him in the studio. It's going to be a big record. It's just taking a little longer than we'd like because of other stipulations and other situations that have arisen in the meantime.
So would you say it's a little bit of a concept record, kind of following a storyline?
Yeah, all of our records are concepts. Somebody asked me that the other day. So why don't you guys just release singles? I said, because we're not a song band. We're an idea band. Every record that we have has been conceptual in a certain way. That's why I spend so much time in putting the right songs on a record. There have been some great songs that never made a record because they didn't fit the overall theme or concept or feel for that particular record. That come in on other records because they've worked with that record. So it is conceptual, but all of our albums are. This is probably more conceptual and easier to see it as a concept album because there is a full story. But every album, you see, that's why when I listen to a record, I don't skip around from song to song. I like to listen to things from the beginning to the end because to me it tells a story. And with our records, it's like that. But this one has more of a chronological order. I can relate songs, the beginning songs, and it's from birth to death, so it does have an order. This is a lesson I learned when I was, in my teens about, first, the first love of my life, and then when my dad died later on in my life, the lessons I learned at that time, and the things that you realize, and the older you get, the more lessons, the wiser you supposedly get, and the more things that change your life. I don't write about a particular incident like when I was 25 and this happened to me, and it's not a storytelling type of album. It's telling stories of the essence of what I learned during particular incidents. So, to answer your question, it is conceptual, but I think all of our records are. This to a greater degree, though.
Right. Okay, so I appreciate that. So this is a question that I had for you, man. I've always admired your guitar playing. So I kind of want to know where your guitar tone comes from and what kind of gear you kind of use these days.
Now I'm using JSX heads from Peavey. I'm using KJL cabinets, which is a guy from Louisiana that does custom cabinets. They're amazing. And I use the Fractal Axe effect, Axe 8, for all of my presets and my effects. And I use the Tremonti wah pedal. Guitar-wise, I have a lot of different guitars, but I use Strictly 7 and Guilford guitars. I have Gibson Explorer that I pull out. I have my original Charvel, the white original Charvel that everybody, it's kind of my signature, I guess you would say.
Right.
That I used, that I had before we even got signed, and it's in the video, the Dream of Lifetime video. I had that completely renovated. I use it out loud now. I'm having my Les Paul Standard revamp to pull out live. It's funny because I had a show with Sledgehammer last night, and I had like 8 guitars on the side of the stage, and I'm like, I told my guy Al, I said, Al, do you think we're overkilling it? He goes, no, not really. Because you have 35 of them at your house, so this really isn't overkilling it. And I wound up using all 8 of them last night. So I'm like, all right, as long as I'm using them, that's fine.
Well, it's not like you're not pulling a Rick Nielsen, man.
No, not too bad. To be honest with you, sometimes I usually pull about 8 live and use 1 or 2.
Right.
Because I use a Strictly 7, and I have an old Wolfgang for my detune stuff. Because there's a few songs in Lillian Axe Sledgehammer that are detuned. So, I have them. That's a Strictly 7 that I use for that. Got about 6 Strictly 7s, about 6 Guilfords, Les Paul, Explorer, got a Paul Reed Smith, I've got a double neck Fender, bunch of acoustics. I have a composite acoustic. I've got a Taylor, a couple of Ovations. I'm trying to think, what else do I have? Got a ton of them. I'm actually getting ready to do a photo shoot where we're going to take every one of my guitars, spread it out over my sofa in my living room, and have me just sitting right in the middle of all my guitars, just to kind of just have a cool picture for everybody. These are all my wooden children.
Are you going to have a place to sit once you get all the guitars out?
Yeah, I will, man. I actually got a pretty big living room and a big section of couch. I'm like, let's just throw them out there, and I'll kind of sit in the middle of them like I'm lost in the middle of all these guitars.
Right.
But I love them all, They all have stories. I wish I had kept all the guitars over the past, all the Ibanez's and Jacksons and Charvels and BC Riches and Gibsons and all that I had over the years that I used to not be like a big guitar guy. I used to have like 3 or 4 guitars, but they had to be the ones I played all the time. I wasn't into collecting. And I'm not really into collecting now because, my God, I know guys that collect guitars and don't play and have collections, $500,000 collection of guitars that are amazing. And they sit there and they're like pieces of furniture to them,
Right.
Like if I want to spend that kind of money, I'll buy furniture, So I try to use the guitars that I have now.
Do you have a favorite?
No, not really.
That's probably unfair.
I have an orange. My Strictly 7 Blaze model is like my favorite one because I kind of help them put it together. But then again, I love my Guilford Redeemers, which I have a couple of my own models, and Guilford too. I like them all. They all have different strengths and pros and cons, and the problem is that I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm never fully satisfied with anything, with equipment, as far as electronics are concerned. I'm not ever fully 100% satisfied with guitars, with amps, with cabinets, or anything. And I talk to other friends of mine that are playing. They're like the same thing. Yeah, we talk up our guitars, and we really like them. They play, they do. But just still, there's just one little thing missing. I don't know what it is, So I guess it's not ever being satisfied means you just keep on striving to get better,
right? Right. Yeah, man. So, I was going to ask you too. So I've actually had the opportunity of meeting you before. If you remember the Rock and Skull tour that they had a few years back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say thank you for that. You were really cool, man, and you took time out of your day also that day to take some photos and have a little conversation, and I appreciate that.
Oh, that's great.
And I wanted
no problem, man.
Wanted to personally thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So I do have one fan question for you. A buddy of mine, Jason Ian Petty, wanted to know when you're going to play Mississippi again.
Actually, it looks like we may be playing Mississippi in June, around maybe the 19th or 20th of June. Because the first date with Brent is going to be June 13th in Gonzales, and we go to Atlanta a few days later on a Thursday night, and I think coming back on Friday, I think we're going to be playing in Jackson. So if they go to Lillian Axe or Steve Blaze Facebook page, scheduling will be up on there and dates are on there. And can I tell you about something else too that I'm kind of promoting? Is I have a podcast every other Sunday. It's live on my Facebook page. It's called The Love and War Show. And it's myself and my buddy Todd Schmidt, who was one of the producers on my ghost hunting show, and Al Moran, my stage manager. And it is 2 hours of we just have fun cutting up. There's more comedy than anything, but we talk about tons of stuff. My mom comes on there. She's 75 and gives cooking and love tips. Al does karaoke every week and dresses up as a different character, and we sing and play stuff. And the funny part is Al messes it up real bad, so it's hilarious. But we have several thousand viewers every week, and you can go to we have a YouTube channel for the Love and War Show. We have 23 episodes we've done so far, and we just keep building it, and hopefully one day we'll get picked up by a bigger network or whatever. But it's a lot of fun. So if everybody gets a chance, it'll be on tomorrow night at 7:00 live on my Facebook page.
Absolutely, man. I'll make sure to put a link on that too when I post this episode.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah, brother. Well, hey, man, it's been a pleasure, dude, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to give us a call.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on your show, man. Anytime. And, we get closer to album release date, or anytime you want me on, just give me a call, man. I love to talk.
Can I reach you at this number that you gave me today?
Yeah, that's my cell phone. You can reach me on that anytime. Just call, say hello anytime.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate it, man. I will do that, man. And it's been a pleasure, Steve. I really appreciate you, brother.
Let me know when this airs so I can put it out on the pages and get everybody to check it out.
Absolutely, man. You'll be the first one to get the link, brother.
Thank you. You have a great rest of your weekend, man, and we'll talk soon, buddy.
You take care. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, man.
Yep.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That concludes episode 4 of the Metal Bob Live podcast. Please check our sponsor links and also check us out on YouTube and other podcast formats. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Metal Bob out. Bye-bye.